In the ancient world, there was an incredibly valuable commodity. It affected trade on a global scale, it was important to civilians and military alike, and it had significance for numerous religions. I think it's even more important today than it was then. Can you guess what that commodity is? Welcome to The Word in the World, hosted by the Lighthouse at Ephesus. Join us as we unpack authentic biblical truths using proven, thorough, and probing study. Stick around to find out how to apply the truth to daily life. Thanks for being here. It's the ultimate choose-your-own adventure. A person with a belief is equal to a force of 99 who have only interests. John Stuart Mill. You want to be worth one salt, but remember, too much salt spoils the stew. An old salt probably has a lot of good, maybe colorful wisdom to share. Anytime someone tells you they're going back to the salt mine, you should take that with a grain of salt, but don't dismiss it completely, because you don't want to rub salt in the wound without meaning to. That ancient commodity and the thing that we're talking about today is salt. And believe me, salt is important today. The Latin word sal is the word for salt. Salarium is derived from salt. It was an allowance the Roman military gave to its soldiers to buy salt. Our modern word salary is derived from salarium. In the ancient world, salt was valuable for two reasons. It was versatile and it was useful. Salt is useful as a practical preservative for food. There's dry applications for salting and curing. There is liquid applications in terms of brine for pickling. In both cases, the salt dehydrates whatever it's applied to, inhibiting microbial growth. That means that it creates an environment hostile to bacteria, mold, and yeast. That same characteristic of a hostile environment to microbes makes it useful in medical applications today. It's still used widely in saline solutions. Closer to home, salt is the flavor enhancer. Within reason, when you put it on your food, it makes it taste more like itself. Too much salt can be a bad thing. In ancient times, a conquering army would occasionally salt the ground of a people they conquered. They would literally plow salt into the soil and would turn the soil into a highly alkaline environment hostile to plant growth. In ancient cultures, salt was almost universally a symbol of friendship and loyalty. It makes sense when you stop to think about it. It's something incredibly valuable and you're sharing it with someone that is building and expressing a relationship, a trust, a friendship. In ancient times, salt was also a symbolic preservative. The Bible talks about the salt covenant in Numbers chapter 18. This highlights the priest's portion of the Israelites' offering that God provided to the priests as a means of sustenance. The salt covenant is mentioned again in Leviticus chapter 2 when the Bible is talking about grain offerings. I'm going to go on a slight tangent here, so bear with me. The grain offering followed the atonement offering, the burnt offering. It was a form of fellowship and worship after atonement. The Israelites were a nomadic culture when the grain offering was instituted. The grain offering specified finely ground flour and salt. To a nomadic culture, finely ground flour, a crop, and salt would have been incredibly valuable. Moving back to our main track, multiple cultures and religions have used salt as a symbol of purification since the dawn of civilization. In 2 Kings chapter 2, Elisha purifies a spring following God's instructions using salt. Salt's also a differentiator. There's a difference between salt water and fresh water. James chapter 3 uses this to illustrate how we are supposed to behave. Salt is also essential for life. Your body is an incredibly complex machine that runs on electrical impulses. If you don't have enough salt in your body, those impulses can't function and you die. Conversely, if you have too much salt, you'll also die. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men." Matthew 5:13. How does salt become tasteless? It can't really be less salty. It can be used up or saturated or contaminated. So how can you be salty? Not sailor salty, although I do know how that works, but Jesus salty. Encourage perseverance. Encourage accountability and responsibility. Know and grow in the Word. Engage with the Lord. Be hostile to worldliness. Build meaningful and lasting relationships. Remember what Christ did for us. Gratefully offer the best of ourselves for His purposes. Visibly live for Christ. If you're looking for a more generalized approach on how to be salty, be selfless, be generous, be steadfast, be courageous. So, love to hear your feedback. Hop into the comments. Did I get it right? Did I miss something, or did I get something wrong? Do you have any stories or examples of where you've seen this play out? I'd love to hear it. Don't rely on the algorithm to spread these ideas. You spread these ideas. Share the video, and if you don't want to share the video, fine. Talk to the people in your life. Talk to your family. Talk to your friends, the people you work with. Talk to them about these ideas. If you do want the algorithm to spread these ideas, the best thing that you can do is interact with the video. If you haven't done it already, give that like button a Freedom 5, subscribe on whatever platform you're finding it on, and comment. I want to leave you with this. Don't let impurities creep into your saltiness. Don't get saturated with stuff that uses up your saltiness. You've got to be really careful and deliberate about what you consume and how you use your resources. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You are what you eat. If you want the salty shirt, head over to shop.ephesus.com. All of our social media stuff is on lighthouse.ephesus.com. If you want to keep up on what's going on, sign up for our newsletter. There's links for that all over the place. But most importantly, stay salty, and God bless.